From The National, this is Trending Middle East. I'm Yasmin Al-Taji. It's Wednesday, February 12th. Here are today's headlines. The already fragile ceasefire in Gaza seems to be hanging by a thread, with both sides accusing each other of failing to uphold the terms of the truce. Hamas said this week it could delay the next round of hostage releases due to Israeli violations of the agreement. U.S. President Donald Trump issued an ultimatum of noon on Saturday for all hostages to be released. It's unclear which time zone would apply.
I'm speaking for myself. Israel can override it, but from myself, Saturday at 12 o'clock, and if they're not here, all hell is going to break out.
Meanwhile, Netanyahu pledged, quote, relentless action, unquote, until the hostages are returned. Hamas has been releasing hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners every week since the ceasefire agreement took effect last month.
There's no overcoming the fact that the majority of the Israeli public wants the deal to continue. Polling has shown this time and time again. And, at least maybe up until recently, US President Donald Trump has also thrown his weight behind the deal.
The National's Jerusalem correspondent Thomas Helm has been tracking developments and public reaction.
It's worth noting that Palestinian detainees released throughout the deal are also in a dire state. I've seen many of them with my own eyes. But the state of the Israeli hostages nonetheless stoked massive anger at home in the coalition and with President Donald Trump, who's now calling for all of the hostages to be released by Saturday. This was not part of the deal. It's a big break from it. But he did leave, in his statement, he did leave the final decision up to Israel. But he promised that for his part, all hell would break loose if they weren't released.
In a statement released on Telegram on Tuesday but dated Monday, Hamas said, quote, the door remains open for the exchange to proceed as planned if Israel abides by its obligations, unquote. The group said it made the announcement 5 days before the scheduled release in order to give mediators time to put pressure on Israel to adhere to the terms of the agreement. In recent developments to Trump's statements about the displacement of Palestinians to Egypt and Jordan, the U.S. president seems to be exerting more pressure as he threatened to withhold aid from both countries if they don't take in Palestinians. Both countries have rejected Trump's proposal that Palestinians in Gaza be sent outside their borders. The comments came ahead of a meeting between Jordan's King Abdullah and Trump at the White House on Tuesday. Other Arab nations and the UN objected, as have Palestinians, who say the forced displacement would amount to ethnic cleansing. Jordan is one of Washington's strongest allies in the Middle East. Both countries have worked closely on regional security issues, including the fight against al-Qaeda and ISIS. Amman receives hundreds of millions of dollars in annual military financing from the U.S. It's day 2 of the World Government Summit in Dubai today. Wednesday's lineup of speakers includes former UK Prime Ministers Tony Blair and Boris Johnson, and stages will feature discussions on the state of the Arab world, and even Martian exploration from space leaders in the UAE. Assistant editor Rory Reynolds tells us more about day 1 of the summit and what to expect next.
Yesterday, on the opening day of the World Government Summit in Dubai, we heard a lot about the opportunities and challenges that the world faces. Mohammed Al-Jagawi, chairman of the event, said the international community is repeating the mistakes of the past and failing to ensure that wars end in firm peace deals, and how only a renewed commitment to humanitarian values can bring us together. We also heard from Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, which organizes the Davos conference every year, who said that the intelligent age has arrived and that governments had to be enablers to serve their people well. Most starkly, we heard from the IMF chief, Kristalina Georgieva, who said that artificial intelligence would hit the global workforce like a tsunami, with 60% of jobs affected in some way, good or bad. There's a lot of hype around artificial intelligence, and one wonders if we may start to see major employees deliver big changes very soon. And finally, we spoke to the very colourful Jason Miller, Donald Trump's longtime election campaign aide,
Well, it's a breath of fresh air. The Elon has come in, I guess you'd say a bull in a china shop, which is a term that we use in the United States. But what's important to point out is that this is what the voters voted for.
He also claimed that Trump would bring a peace deal to the Middle East, though he did not have any insight into Trump's claim that we would seize Gaza. Tomorrow we're expected to hear more about the future of the Middle East, with the Arab League and GCC leaders speaking, and also a key advisor to the Iranian presidency.
That's all for this morning's headlines. You can get these stories and follow live updates at our site. Yasmin Altaji, The National.